The arrow of time, why we can only remember the past rather than the future. In the vast universe, there is a force more universal than gravity, more constant than the speed of light. It is everywhere but has never been directly observed by any instrument. It is the flow of time. We feel it but never understand it. It makes flowers wither and stars grow old. Also let the memory only stay in the direction of the past. So the question arises why we can only remember the past, unable to foresee the future. Does time really only move forward? Still, we are just trapped in a seemingly one-way illusion. An overture, the illusion of time. The philosopher Saint Augustine once wrote, "If no one asks me what time it is, I know. But if someone asks me, I can't answer." We think we know time, but in fact, time may be the most cunning illusionist in the universe. Every morning we open our eyes. The sun rises and the shadows move. The ticking clock tells us that time is moving forward. But is this really the essence of time? Or is it just a prejudice in our consciousness? In the world of physics, all the fundamental laws of Newtonian mechanics, or quantum mechanics, there is no preference for the past or the future. The equation is symmetrical. You rewind a section of the planet's trajectory, vibration of a molecule. They still obey the same laws. In other words, nature doesn't care about the direction. It's us who care. Then this direction. We call it the arrow of time. Where did it come from? The footprints of the two giants, Entropy and Boltzmann's Enlightenment. Vienna in the 19th century. A young man named Ludwig Boltzmann, in a classroom filled with chalk dust, wrote the first equation for this invisible arrow. He proposed that time has direction because entropy is increasing. Entropy sounds mysterious but is actually a measure of chaos. In an orderly system, everything is in order. As time goes by, disorder and randomness gradually dominate. Ice will melt into water, and heat will flow from high places to low places. Broken glass will not repair itself. The universe seems to be slowly moving towards greater chaos. Boltzmann proved mathematically this trend from order to disorder. Not an illusion, but a probability. The world is more prone to chaos because there are more states of chaos. And so the arrow of time is born from the growth of entropy. It's not a mysterious law, it's a statistical necessity. Boltzmann was questioned in academia, even mentally tortured. The epitaph he wrote before his death was engraved with the equation S equals K log W. Just 5 symbols become the key to understanding the directionality of the universe. The labyrinth of 3 thoughts why we remember the past. If the arrow of time comes from the growth of entropy, what about our memories? Why does consciousness also move along this arrow? Imagine you have a cup of coffee in your hand. Freshly poured milk mixed with coffee, forming a complex vortex. The scene at that moment was beautiful and short-lived. Once stirred, milk and coffee can no longer be separated. This is entropy increase. And memory is like the whirlpool of that moment. It is the temporary order of the system in a low entropy state. The brain does not remember the future because the entropy of the future is not yet defined. You can't do that in a cup of coffee that hasn't been stirred. Predict upcoming patterns. We can recall the past because the past has left traces. The path from the notch on the optical disc to the cranial nerves. These traces correspond to the storage of low entropy states. And the future has not left any scratches. So we can only remember the past. Supporting analogy 1, memory is a kind of writing of the universe. Every time you experience an event, the brain leaves ink marks on the page of time. You can't read pages that haven't been written yet. Supporting analogy 2, the universe is an irreversible cooking. You can make bread from dough, but flour and water cannot be recovered from bread. The flow of consciousness follows the same culinary logic. Support analogy 3, time is a one-way river, and memory is the sediment on the river bank. The water flows forward, and the sediment accumulates behind it, forming historical strata. We read the past from deposits. But you can never swim against the current. Touch the source of the future. 4 sparks start a prairie fire, from entropy to the fate of the universe. So if the arrow of time is driven by entropy, will it stop at some point? When the entropy of the universe reaches its limit, all energy is evenly distributed. There is no difference between hot and cold, no structural time. Will it also lose its meaning? Physicists call it heat death. On that day, all the stars burned out. Black hole slowly evaporates. The universe will become an eternal darkness and silence. No life, no memory, and no future. From this perspective, the arrow of time. It's not just a matter of memory, but a symbol of the destiny of the universe. The reason why we can feel time. It's because we still live in the gap where order still exists. The sun is still burning. Life is still organizing itself. Entropy is growing, but it has not yet swallowed everything up. Because of this, we exist like the brief flash of waves on the sea. In eternal chaos, leaves an illusion of direction. Final chapter 5. Meditating in the stardust. Maybe time is not an external flow, but the breath of our consciousness. The past is the air breathed in, and the future is the wind that has not yet arrived. We live between breaths. Feel the rhythm of in and out, call it time. When you stare at an old photo, what you feel is not the past fact. It's the order of the moment that marks the mark of entropy. Frozen, saved. Be remembered. What you see in that photo is actually the resistance of time. Maybe one day when humans have enough energy and wisdom, we can manipulate entropy and even reverse time. But before that, we still need to learn to respect this invisible river, because it makes us realize the meaning of life. It's not about reaching the future. It's about leaving a shape in the passage of time. The arrow of time is not just the direction of the universe. It is also a trace of our existence. So when you look up at the hands of the clock again, please remember that time is not moving, but we are flowing.